to work. It's horrible. It's the entitlement mindset coming to life, right in front of all of us.
Kind of listen to this conversation. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, you need to get pregnant so you can get that check.
Was owed something from you. It can be as simple as a handshake and appreciation,
A smile,
a gesture,
clap, or you can give them money too. Yeah. Because I think when people need a hand, you need to give them a hand. But I don't think people need to, how do you put it? I don't think people need to live off of a handout. Does that make sense? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think of that subject?
Well, I'm not politically correct in what I think of it, but in an effort to
we don't have to be politically correct here either, by the way.
Okay, good, because I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur, and when you think, my view is like your view of the world. Have you been to a restaurant lately? Have you seen the for help wanted signs?
Everywhere. Everywhere.
There's a line outside the building, and there's empty tables, but they don't have servers to accommodate. These people, whoever they might be, who unemployment is meant to help people in times of need. This is not a time of need. There are jobs for everybody.
Robust economies in the history of our lifetimes right now.
Right. So what is the only reason that our GDP is going to stay down and these businesses aren't being profitable is because they've got stuff to sell, but they can't facilitate it because employees don't want to come back to work. It's horrible. It's the entitlement mindset coming to life, right in front of all of us. We've been talking about it for years, and here it is.
But you know what I love about COVID? That is, I mean, people are like, how do you love something about COVID? I love that my kids are going to be tougher than the generation above them, right? Than the people that are 15. I mean, maybe 15. I mean, teenagers today are probably going to be tougher than the 20-year-olds today, right? Because the 20 to 30s today are the people that grew up in this, from people, they grew up in a life where like they didn't face this kind of stuff. Like my kids pray every day, and when they do their prayers, it's like, I pray that people can get healthier and that people can get better. And I pray for, like that's a general part of my children's toughness. Right. And they know what it's like to have things closed down. They know what it's like to not be allowed to see their friends. Right. And it's an interesting thing because they're not going to grow up. My kids could grow up very entitled if I let them. Right. Because they have, I mean, we have abundance. Right. And so if you have abundance, it's easy for kids to grow up, entitled that way. And so we have to develop like alternative mindsets, for them, and alternative ways for them to learn work ethic and learn how to appreciate things. So, for you, your boys are in their 20s though, right?
They are. And so, I one thing I want to say about your comment, I'll tell you when I disagree with you. I disagree with you on that. And the reason I disagree is because you're looking at it from your perspective. And you shared a story with the group. We were in Boise on that retreat that stuck with me. I think I told you the comment. I appreciated the comment because it's things I've taught my kids. Mm-hmm. You said, you and the boys, you were somewhere and there was a guy playing guitar or something. You guys were out in the park and there was a guy playing some music, and you explained to the boys that that was an exchange of value. He provided his art form for your enjoyment. You guys got the emotional satisfaction of hearing the art, and he was owed something from you. It can be as simple as a handshake and an appreciation, a gesture,
clap, or you can give him money too. Yeah.
$5. Like, you understand the reason the guy is there expressing his art is to make a living, right? That's how he makes a living. So, but explaining to the kids, go give that guy some money, not just go give him a handout. That's not free. He earned it by sharing. There was an even exchange of value, which is what successful economies are built on, whether it's a hamburger for $5 or a house for $1 million. It's a fair exchange of value. So you're teaching your kids those concepts. Your kids will be tougher. I believe, and my kids are going to be way tougher. Mm-hmm. I believe the majority of the kids are going to be weaker and more entitled because they're being protected and sheltered. Mm-hmm. What's that? I didn't hear you.
Because of the government, because of the handouts.
Right. They become more entitled. And what are they learning? I'm not going to say most, you can't generalize like that. A good percentage of the population are teaching their kids, and they're talking about the stimulus. Oh my God, we got another free check coming next month. I'm not working and I'm making more money now than I was working. What does that put it? What kind of seeds are those sowing in the heads of these young kids?
I mean, it's interesting because we have a 24-year-old, right? I think he's just graduated college, does social media. He does social media chatting, right? And for us, and his job is to say when people have questions to make sure they have answers, right? And so I was on a conference meeting with him, right? And like he has it calendared, like there's like the dates for government stimulus and checks and stuff. Like it's a full part of his lifestyle, and it's an expectation. And like for me, I never would have expected government handouts. And at the same time, I've benefited from them, right? I benefited them from a Pell Grant, right? Going to school. I benefited from them from government loans, right? Going to school and stuff, and got helped me get through college and stuff. And so I do appreciate them in that way, right? And so it's like it's a unique balance, but I don't believe if there should be parameters if you're going to receive assistance, right? I received assistance and I went to school. If I didn't go to school, I wasn't going to receive assistance, right? And I mean, and granted, I put myself through college, so the government assistance was there and it was helpful, but at the same time, I had to pay back my student loans and stuff too.
Right. Right. Well, how about the government investing in you with a grant? You become educated, go start making a bunch of money and paying them income tax.
Yeah.
So they always get their money.
And the 50 plus people that also pay them income tax that we employ, right?
Right.
And
right.
so that's, yeah, I mean, it goes deeper than that. Like for me, I won't allow my kids to, like somebody holding up a sign or laying on a sidewalk with a tin cup. I won't allow them to give those people money because there's no exchange, right? Now we give money to like church who also does food kitchens and some different things because I know they're going to use that money and in a way to help people that truly need it in ways that they have to have it. But at the same time, it's a unique balance. But I think there's a greater divide that's coming because of this. So I think there's a large portion of our country that believes the way you and I do, right? And I think there's also the other side of it. I remember when I was on one of my auction trips in Philadelphia, and we had made an offer on a house, and I'm walking away from the house, and there's these two gals sitting on the front porch of a house, right? And she's like, "You need to get pregnant." And I'm just kind of listening to this conversation. I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "You need to get pregnant so you can get that check," And I'm thinking to myself, like she was like 17, couldn't have been over 20, right? And I'm just thinking to myself, that's what's created sometimes by those things. And then but then there's the other times where it's a mom who's single, who's raising two kids, who also has a job and just needs help,
Right.
And so like, how do you differentiate between the two is the challenge.